Today's guest was blindsided by multiple life-altering health issues that forced a lifestyle change. Through Instagram, she discovered a passion for decorating cookies, and in my opinion, has become one of the best in the business. She has built a great little business, and in today's episode, she shares her journey. Welcome to the Socks and Soul Podcast. I'm your host, Kelly Ditto. Let's go. Welcome in studio, my friend Amber Stout.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Thanks for being here. I'm really excited to have you. I have to tell you how this happened. So usually, we've done this a couple of times where Annie and I are lying in bed and we're thinking about who has a great story or who owns a good business or what's going on. And so Annie says to me, she says, "Hey, do you know the lady who makes cookies?" And I was like, I don't know. It's not really
everybody makes cookies.
It's not really my jam, you know? And she goes, no, you gotta see these cookies. Look her up on Instagram. And it's flour and frosting.
Yep,
right?
Flour and frosting.
Flour and frosting on Instagram. You should just, if you're not driving, you should just open up Instagram right now and look at it, because it reminds me of the first time I discovered the website Zillow.
You could spend hours.
And I was like, I wanted to look up every single person's address that I knew and see how much they bought their house for. It was just like, it's the ultimate binge Instagram feed. You will not believe what you're looking at. Like, these cookies are something out of a Martha Stewart magazine, except better.
No, you're very sweet. I keep saying I have lots of room to improve because I haven't really been doing it that long. It's only been like maybe 2 or 3 years.
So I instantly I'm like, okay, I need to have this lady on, because this is like next level stuff.
Oh,
and I'm not kidding. Most of my listeners don't watch this live. Most of them listen to it on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And so when you get a chance, just look up Amber Stout's Instagram, because you will be knocked away. It's just amazing. It really is something else.
Well, I appreciate that. Every time I get a compliment, like somebody says something about my cookies, it just like, I don't know how to respond because it means so much to me. So thank you.
Well, it's terrific. And I wonder what it's like to be that good at something.
I'm really not that good, though. If you look at other cookiers, I'm still like, beginner, intermediate. So
okay, well, I'll take your word for it, but I think you're a liar. So Amber, have you always been into baking? Like, did you discover that you love making cookies at an early age, or what's the deal there?
No, my sister and my mom and I would bake together, and I kind of had a fascination with cookies. Like, a lady at our church would make cookies kind of similar to mine, and they tasted amazing. Mm-hmm. And I kept thinking as I was growing up, I wonder how she would do that. And my sister kind of got into like baking cakes and stuff like that. She knows how to decorate cakes really, really well. And I kind of just took backseat. Like, it wasn't my thing. My thing was like special needs kiddos. Like, I have a passion for those that have disabilities, and that's where my passion lied, and that's where my career path kind of went that way. And
so did you study special education then?
No, I just don't. Like, when I was in elementary school, one of my best friends, her name is Sarah. She has Down syndrome, and I just hung out with her all the time. And so by the time I got to high school, like, we're the same age. We hung out all the time. Her mom had me come over and try to give her like a normal life of like what I would do. Right. So I would bring her out with my friends and me, and and so I just had a special place for them in my heart. And so anyways, by the time I got to high school, I was like full in, like, and I took a class that all I did was help the special ed kiddos. And
oh man.
Yeah, it was so much more rewarding for me. I wasn't doing anything for them. I mean, everything was for me, and as selfish as that sounds. But
no, they make you feel like $1 million. They laugh at all your jokes.
Exactly.
They're never mad at you.
Yeah, and they call you beautiful no matter what you look like. So I'll take it. Yeah, so right after high school, my husband and I actually got married like pretty quickly after high school. Cool. And I dove right in, and I ended up actually working for Central Valley School District in their special ed preschool.
Okay.
And I worked in like with the autistic kids, and yeah, a whole bunch of a group of them. And I eventually got pregnant with my son. And while I was working at the special ed preschool, I got a little bit dizzy one day and thought nothing of it. And then further along in my pregnancy, I got even more dizzy. I was sitting in church and all of a sudden my ears got really hot and I didn't know what was going on. And I looked over at my husband. We were actually watching another family at the time. The parents were out of town, so we were staying with their kids. So we're sitting in the bench with them.
So you're pregnant with your first. You're babysitting someone else's kids who's
4
like
of them.
on vacation.
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
In another continent. Okay. Yeah. So I'm sitting there and my husband's sitting at one end and they had twins and then two boys. And I looked down at it and I said, I got to go get a drink. I'm going to pass out. And so I went out to the drinking fountain and all I remember is waking up on the floor next to it.
Oh, you passed out.
Oh yeah. Like completely gone.
Wow.
And I had a lady standing over me and I just remember, I can see up your skirt, so you back up just a little.
That was your first thought?
Yeah. And then I probably passed out a few more times after that. And so we went to the hospital and they're like, everything's fine, you're good. And then I had to start going in weekly to do stress tests on babies to make sure that.
How far along were you at this point?
Probably around like 30 weeks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty far along, almost full term. And so at the second week doing those stress tests, they actually did an EKG on me. And I don't know are you familiar with EKGs?
I mean, a little, but not really.
Yeah. They're the thing where they put the stickers all over you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're actually measuring the QT of your heart. I don't even know what a QT is.
Like the electrical current type stuff,
exactly,
right? Exactly,
yeah. So they actually caught that I have a heart condition called long QT. So long QT basically, my QT is way too long and it makes me pass out. They call it a syncope. And they caught it while I was pregnant and it changed my life. It changed a lot of what I could do. But
leading up to this point, you had no idea that anything was going on. Everything else had been otherwise healthy.
Yeah. I mean, super active, everything I was doing. I mean, I had passed out like here and there. Like one time I stepped on a rusty nail and I passed out.
Oh.
My sister thought it was real great because she enjoyed like watching me like fall over.
Siblings are the worst. I know. Yeah. I've got lots of them.
Yeah. So no really warning of it. So then, I got diagnosed with it and it changed my lifestyle. So it meant like scary movies are probably not a great thing for me. So anything that gets my heart rate going really fast, being startled or extreme sports, or they say sports. I want to say extreme sports so that I can have.
Is that when you quit the roller derby team? Was right after that?
Yeah. No NFL for me. Yeah. So it changed how I could work with the special ed kiddos. So it's a lot because they were in preschool. It's a lot of wrestling and a lot of hands-on.
Yeah, it's very physical kind of.
Yeah, and so it changed. It changed how I could do my job. So luckily, I loved the place I worked, and I was able to work with their speech therapist actually. And so I got to work with the special ed kiddos, but in the background, I got to make all they have a certain system where they use pictures for autistic kids for them to speak, and I would help make all of those and put little books together for them. And
so less hands-on, more a little bit behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah, but I got to see everything, and it was so cool to see all of these things that it was basically like arts and craft. I was doing arts and craft all the time, and it was nice to be able to see the stuff that I was making being put into use to helping these kids, because they say that the earlier, early intervention is probably the best for special ed kiddos. And so
it was still very rewarding.
Yeah, just to be a little bit a part of it. I know that just making the little pieces of paper and laminating and all the things that I did is nothing compared to what the teachers were doing and the speech therapists and the specialists. But for me to be a part of it felt great. So
you have this rewarding kind of job or career path at least.
Yep.
And you're going along, and then you have your first.
Yep. And then my cardiologist, she's like, we're going to have to put a little device in your chest to just monitor your heart. It was called a loop recorder. All it does was monitor. And they wanted to make sure that if I was passing out, my heart would start again. So my heart condition actually
seems like a good idea.
Yeah. So my heart condition actually causes sudden death. It's like that's how most people find out that they have I mean, their family.
die.
Yeah, their family finds out because they die.
They're like, oh, his heart stopped. Oh, he didn't have a heart attack. He actually has this electrical short circuitry happening in his heart.
Exactly.
Wow.
So, kind of
So
scary.
you're fortunate, kind of, to have caught it the way you did.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely.
Or not like caught it, but like figured it out.
Yeah. Oh, and, like, I'm grateful I didn't have like a cardiac arrest or any like.
Yeah.
I mean, because that's still a real possibility in my life.
Sure.
So I feel very, very grateful that that's not how, because they caught it before I gave birth, and so I was able to take more precautions before birth. And yeah. So anyways, they put the loop recorder in. Everything seemed fine. They started me on a heart medication. We got pregnant with my daughter. We got the go ahead. And halfway through that pregnancy, I went into the cardiologist, and she's like, you need a defibrillator pacemaker, like now.
Okay.
So
you were having fainting episodes again? Okay.
Yep, just passing out quite a bit. And
my gosh.
the loop recorder was catching a lot of stuff. And so
Every time you pass out, is your husband like freaking out?
at first, but at that point, I had passed out so much that it was just like, it freaked everybody else out. But
He's like, nah, she does it all the time.
yeah, like so we would be at like church or something, and I would feel it coming on, because I would almost always feel it coming on, so I could like kind of prepare myself. So I'm not like just dropping
So
to the
you'd
floor.
put yourself in a position,
Yeah, so I would lay down, and it's real awkward when you're like in a group of people, and then all of a sudden you're just laying on the floor, like
Well, I won't be alarmed if you curl up in a ball down here then.
So yeah, anyways, he's not too, I mean, he's concerned about it, and he always checks on me, but he's not, we need to call 911 right now. It's nothing like that.
Right.
So yeah, and I have a machine in my chest that will save my life if need be. So we know exactly what to do.
For sure.
We're not as freaked out about it anymore.
Well, and the fact that you caught it early and you have the medication, you have the technology.
Exactly.
I guess if we can just make sure you don't fall and hit your face on something.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the big concerns, because like the defibrillator will kick in and restart my heart if it needs to.
So you have a mini defibrillator implanted next to your heart?
I have a pacemaker and defibrillator. It's both.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty big, but yeah. So they actually put it in while I was pregnant. So
that's awesome.
Nothing's more like your pride goes out the window when you have surgery while you're pregnant. And I felt like 100 people in the operating room. And
oh man.
Yeah, I mean, because they had to have a team there for me. They had to have a team, an OB team. They had to have a baby team. I mean, everything. So I'm grateful that I got it. I'm grateful for the times that we live in, because I'm grateful for the technology that we have, because without it, I don't know. I don't know where I would be. So,
right.
Yeah. So after my daughter was born, I went back to work, kept going, and then my appendix ruptured shortly after that. And I was in the hospital, and I actually was lucky that my appendix ruptured, because they finally diagnosed me with Crohn's disease. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with Crohn's.
I don't know a lot about Crohn's. I know that it affects your digestive tract. It has something to do with your ability to absorb nutrients.
Yeah.
And it's a lifelong disease. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's hard. You don't like get rid of it.
Right.
I mean, you can take out part of like the intestines and the bowel and stuff like that. And luckily I haven't had to do any of that.
Yeah.
But it's just both of those things have compounded, and working a job when I was feeling sick all the time, like going into work, I couldn't do it anymore. So we made the hard decision that I would stay at home with the kids, and which was fine. I'm so grateful I got to do that.
Sure.
So I stayed at home with my kiddos, and then a while, but I just stayed home with them, and then I would get on my phone at night.
How did you feel about that? I mean, kind of this forced stay at home with the kids because I can't work. You have this passion. How did you handle that?
I loved it, actually. Like, because if you would have asked me growing up, like, what do you want to be? It would have been a stay-at-home mom.
Okay,
like,
so this was already kind of in your mind about what your future looked like.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, when it's thrown into your lap like that, I think it kind of threw me for a loop for a minute. Like, oh, well, I don't get to help my family out financially. Like that bugged me a little bit. Like,
sure.
All the weight is on my husband now. And I didn't want to do that to him, even though he was like, hey, it's what we do.
We'll figure it out. We got this.
Exactly. So
I like your husband.
Yeah. Well, most of the time I do too.
Actually, on one of your sidebar, sorry, on one of your Instagram pictures, I saw him wearing a shirt. It said "Cookie Husband," I think, or something like that.
I call him that, and I said it was my family. It's a family business because it truly is, because he helps me bake all the cookies. So
okay,
yeah, so he is a cookie husband through and through.
Good, he's a good sport, if nothing else.
Yeah, he totally is.
Okay, so you're back. You're working at home.
Yeah, just staying home.
Managing your health, okay?
Yeah, trying to get trying to learn everything I need to learn about the conditions and how they're affecting me, because I know that they're different for everybody, and seeing how my lifestyle would change with them. And we ended up moving. We were living with my parents at the time. We built a little apartment in their shop, and my son was about to start kindergarten, so we moved up on the South Hill because great schools out here, and we absolutely love it. And once my son started school, I felt like I only have one kid at home. I need to be doing more. Like, she was getting older. She was going to start school in a couple years. And I was like, I
need a purpose.
Yeah.
I need a thing to do.
Exactly.
Besides.
I don't want to I think as a parent, sometimes we lose our own persona. Like, I don't want to just be mom anymore. Like, I want to be mom, and that's my first and best calling that I could ever have.
Right. You're not replacing that.
Yeah, but I also want to be me too. I want to have more than that. And
you want to have goals. You want to have dreams. You want to achieve things.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're getting good. I like this.
Yeah.
I like where we're going.
I ended up watching Instagram. I love it.
Yeah.
I would get on, and I don't know if you've ever gone to the search button, and it'll just explore.
Just kind of a discover thing, right?
Yeah. And you just look through, and so I would look through there and see whatever was going on. And one time I caught a cookie video on there, and I was like, it was somebody just decorating a cookie, and I was like, that looks so cool. Like, watching it. So then I watched another one. I was like, I can totally do that. And they make it look so easy.
Oh,
I was like,
they totally do.
I was like, totally can do that.
You have videos on there.
I do.
And it look, and again, you start and you're like, oh, she's making little apple. That's cute. And you're just like, wait, what? And then the end picture comes and it's like, how? Come on.
But if you look at it, it makes it look so easy. And I kept thinking, if they can do it, I can do it. They did it in less than a minute. I mean, obviously they fast forwarded the video and everything, but I would watch him over and over again. So probably for like a year, I would just watch a couple every night, or, every few nights I would watch one or two. And I just kept thinking, I'm going to do this. And so finally, I think it was in 2018. I can't remember. Anyways, at Christmas, I was like, I'm going to make some cookies. I'm going to try this out. I went and got the things that I needed to get. I didn't have the exact right tools or anything, so I made do with what I had. Yeah. And I brought the cookies to a church Christmas party. Uh-huh. And everybody in my ward was like, who made these?
What?
Yeah. Who made these? Who bought cookies and brought them here? And I was like, I was like so giddy. Like, we were sitting, it was like, we were all kind of sitting on picnic blankets in the gym. Uh-huh. And I just remember like looking around, seeing like all the kids like running with their cookies to show their family. And I had made a lot because I was like, I need some practice. I want to make sure that I know what I'm doing. And sure. So, I made all these cookies, and I had a lot of good response from him. And I actually had a couple of people from church say, hey, I would totally buy these from you. People I had seen them but didn't really know them. I was still kind of new to the ward and everything, but it made me feel really good. So I was like, I'm going to try a little bit more. So January came, and I went and bought more cookie cutters, and I decorated a whole bunch of cookies, and everybody at my husband's work was really grateful because they got all of them. I mean, I took pictures of them, but they got them all.
His coworkers are like, practice again, huh? He's like, yeah.
Yeah. They love it when I do if I always make like a preset before, so I can take pictures of if I'm offering like holiday cookies or something. And they usually get them.
Yeah,
so they're pretty grateful when, hey, it's, Halloween's coming up. What do you have?
So your husband's been promoted quite a few times then,
Yeah, I wish.
So you watch these Instagram videos for a year or so. You decide that this is something that you really like, you really think is super cool, mm-hmm. and then you just start making them.
Yeah, just started.
So are you an artist?
No, I literally cannot draw, and I'm so serious. If you gave me a pen and paper, I could probably draw a stick person, and that's as good. And you might not even recognize anything else I would draw.
So it's really fascinating to me because and I don't know if you were this way, but all growing up, I wanted to be able to draw. like I had a couple friends who were really good artists. And I was like, and in my mind, I was like, if I just practice enough, I can get good at drawing. And that was not true in my case.
Oh, it's
like
bull
I
crap.
would spend hours and hours trying to draw, and I was just terrible at it.
I feel the same way.
Don't get it.
100%. I
And
can't.
so-
I thought the same thing. I was like, I'll take art class in high school. No, I'm gonna fail that real quick because I can't.
Yep.
It's not for me. It wasn't about practice. It's like the talent wasn't there,
Yep.
and it's still not there. So
So that makes it even more amazing, because when we see your little works of art, you know, the precision on them is stunning. It's really amazing.
thank you. I do like other cookiers. This is a weird way to put it, but there's a certain way to decorate a cookie, and most cookiers will take a thicker icing and like flood the outline of a cookie, and then they'll take the flood icing, which is thinner, and then flood the middle with it so it doesn't roll over the side of the edge. Well, I don't like the look of that edge because you can kind of see that line.
Yeah.
So I don't do that.
Because you do a thin line and then you fill it in.
And I use the same consistency.
Yeah,
So
right.
it takes me a little bit longer than maybe how other people do it.
Yeah.
But I like the cleanliness of the no lines, if that makes sense. Yeah.
I mean, when you see your cookies, they look so, the lines are just perfect on them. They're,
thank you.
They're really amazing. So you've kind of developed your own kind of technique and style in the process here.
Yeah. I mean, and I've learned, like, I can't say I'm self-taught, even though I didn't have like an instructor with me. I just watched cookie videos on Instagram, and that's how I learned.
Technology's awesome.
Yeah, and I would credit all these other cookiers that put videos out there for teaching me, even though they weren't like specifically teaching me. They were just putting it on their own Instagram.
Right.
But that's how I learned. So I'm so grateful for technology, and I'm grateful that they would have the time and patience to go and make the video and put it online. So,
Okay, so you watch them. They watch it for a year. You make them for the church Christmas party. It's a huge hit.
Yep.
And then and so then now you're like, okay, I can do this.
Oh, definitely.
You know, you're like, that was like one of my first goes.
Oh,
So tell me about the next part of your journey here.
yeah. So January, I made all those cookies for my husband's work. I mean, I was just really trying to get practice. So I made like football. They're my very first cookies, like besides the Christmas one.
Yeah.
And looking back now, they're kind of cringy because they're not like, they're new.
Yeah.
You can still tell how new I am.
Yeah.
And I took pictures of them. I put them like, try to get fancy with the pictures, and was like, I'm gonna try to sell these. I think I could sell these, and because everybody kept telling me you can sell these, and so I looked into getting a license and seeing how hard it was, and I went for it. And so I have a license to do it right out of my home. It's called a food cottage license or a cottage food. People say it either way, and as soon as I got that licensed, I started selling cookies, and luckily some of my friends were my first customers.
Yep.
So. Can I shout out someone? Jen Anderson.
Yeah, absolutely.
She was my very, very first customer. And
I love it.
The fact that she would come to me for that, because I love and adore her, it meant the world to me. And that gave me like the boost, like, oh, you got this. And so I made her cookies. And then one of my best friends got married. And for her bridal shower, I was like, it was in February. I decided to make all the cookies for the dessert. And it was really good practice. And I took pictures of it and posted them online. And then a couple more of my friends ordered cookies. And I think it was probably in April, some lady that I didn't know called me and left a message or sent me a message on Instagram, said, hey, we're casting for a Food Network show. We'd love for you to come apply for it. And I was like, oh, this is a joke. This must be like spam or something. And so I kind of ignored it. Then I got another one. She's like, hey, have you got my message? I'd like you to, here's my number. Will you call me? Or can you fill out the application? Can you do any of this? And I was like, okay, I'll just throw my name
Whatever.
throw my name in the hat. There's nothing going to come of it. And so at that point, I really had only been doing cookies like 3 or 4 months. And it wasn't like a ton of cookies. It was like a few dozen a month, not a lot. So I filled out the application, never thought twice of it, and dropped my son off at school one day. My daughter and I went shopping at Fred Meyer, and I'm walking around, and I get this phone number, and you know how you can see where, like, what city it's coming from. It said Los Angeles, and I was like, that's weird. Maybe it's Ellen DeGeneres, like, wanting to give me something for free or something. So I was like, better answer, you know, Ellen.
You're like, this might be my shot. Turns out.
And I was totally like, just in my mind, like, oh, wouldn't that be crazy? And it was a lady from the casting agency for Food Network, and she wanted to talk to me. And I was like, I'm shopping right now, but I'll leave the store to talk to you. She's like, no, finish your shopping, and then I'll just call you in like 10 minutes. I was like, okay. So
deal.
I literally like went to the work, and I was like, I got to go to my car. I'm so sorry. Here's my basket, and grabbed my daughter and left. So I went out in the car and like was giddy. So then she called me, and we talked for probably half an hour, and she's like, we'd like to interview you. She's like,
how did she find you?
On Instagram. She just saw one of my pictures and was like, hey.
She just came across your cookies on Instagram.
I think so. I don't know if I was using hashtags at the time. I probably was. And that might have been how she found it. Or it could have been under Explore. Or
that is so
I really
awesome.
don't know. So,
that is so awesome.
Yeah. So we talked for a little bit. She's like, we want to interview you. And they set it up. And so we did a little Skype interview. And she's like, okay. And she's like, you'll hear back from us. And I was like, oh, that's going to be the end of it.
Right.
Yeah.
You're like, well, that was fun.
Yeah. And I was like, that was cool. And then I got like an email the next day, and she's like, okay, the head casting wants to, Skype with you now. And I was like, oh, okay, deal. So they set that time up, and we did it. And she's like, we really like you. They told me, she's like, get all dolled up, put a little lip gloss on. I was like, I don't know how to do makeup. Like, I can decorate a cookie, but makeup is not my thing.
I can make cookies look like $1 million.
Yeah.
But I can't do anything with this.
Yeah. So anyways, I did what I did, and
it was good enough, apparently.
Yeah. Well, and so she was like, okay, we're gonna see if the producers want to contact you or not, or I don't know what they're called anymore. It's been a while, but yeah. So she's like, you might hear from us in 2 weeks or not, and to see if the head people want to Skype with you and select you for the show. And I was like, okay, so I probably won't hear back from the, I've already made it to stage 2.
You're like, how many levels are there in this process?
Yeah, I was not expecting how many there were.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was like, oh, they're not going to pick me. And at the time, I actually have a fake front tooth. Mm-hmm. And I went and had Dave Gailey put my tooth in. Uh-huh. He's like, hey, come in and I'll give you a real tooth. And so that process in its own is kind of lengthy, and you have to get a screw put into your bone.
Oh, yeah, and then it has to heal.
Yes.
And then you come and get the veneer or whatever.
Yeah, so I was having I had a little flipper, a tooth that I could pop in and out of my mouth at the time. So I get a phone call. I have surgery set up for a certain day, and I get a phone call, and they're like, the producers want to Skype with you the day after your surgery. And I was like, okay, that should be fine, thinking nothing of it. I was so swollen. And
no.
But they couldn't tell, I guess. I couldn't smile. My face was still numb on half.
Probably just like you had Botox. You
probably
had these big, beautiful lips. Are like, oh my word, that woman is ready for Hollywood.
Yeah, they probably, she went and got this done perfectly for us. So yeah, they had me make a ton of cookies. I had to make different kinds of cookies, because I'm a sugar cookie. That's what I do, sugar cookies and different flavors of sugar cookies, because I'm the decorating, that's what I do. And so I had to make different kinds of cookies and send them a whole bunch of pictures of that. And then on that Skype interview, I had to actually make a 3D cookie. And so I made this little chimney, and I had to make another cookie that I had to make in 90 minutes from start to finish.
So were they watching you the whole time?
No, it was just before. They're like, just make sure you try to time yourself, because it's going to be how you were on the show. And
Gotcha.
I was like, okay. So I did all of that, and they're like, okay, we'll let you know. They had a ton of people they were still interviewing. So again, I was on pins and needles for 2 weeks. I was expecting to hear from them pretty quickly, because the process was going so fast that I wasn't prepared for it. And
you got to the stage where you were making stuff.
Yeah.
And it feels like it's pretty far down the road.
Exactly. And I'm still taking orders, and I had just had that surgery on my mouth. And so there was just a lot going on. And my husband had surgery too on his mouth at the same time. So we were both kind of down, and, just surgery wise. And yeah, so I was like, oh, that fat lip that got me. They didn't want me. They didn't want that Botox lip, but they called me like 2 weeks later and they said, we're going to send you a contract and you need to sign it. That doesn't mean you're selected or anything. So I looked it over. I had my dad look it over.
Those things are like 70 pages long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they had me send like 1,000,000 pictures in too. And I had to like get, for every picture that I sent in, I had to have who took the picture and then who's in the picture. Everybody had to sign a
photo
thing.
releases.
Yeah.
Yep.
For every single picture. And I was like, it was a lot. And so I try to pick like pictures that nobody would hate, and my husband hated all of them. Anyone that he was in, he's like, don't send that one.
You're like, sign it.
Yeah,
Sign it.
right now. So, we sent everything in. And it was just a waiting game. And so another day, it was like 2 weeks later after that, because I was like, they're supposed to be filming pretty soon. By this time, it's now into June. And my best friend is actually getting married in June. And I'm like, they're not going to pick me because the time they're filming is also the time of her wedding. And I was like, there's no way that I can do both. And she's more important to me than, I mean, how awesome is Food Network? Like going on Food Network would be awesome.
Big shot. Yeah.
I would have said no for her. So she would have killed me if I did. But I got into June and I was like, I haven't heard from them. So again, no, it's a no-go. It was so like I was constantly checking my email to see if there's any interactions or anything, and nothing. And so again, I dropped my son off at school. My daughter and I went to Ross to go shopping. And as I'm pulling into the parking lot, I get a phone call from some number I don't know yet. And it's from Los Angeles again. I'm like, what is this? So I pick up and the lady gets on. She's like, hi, my name's Claudia. I'm from Food Network. I'm one of the producers and you're selected. And I just screamed. I just could not stop screaming. And I was like, I got to pull over. So I pulled in a parking spot. And so she told me all the details and she's like, okay, it's going to go pretty quickly. And she's like, the whole time they ask you what dates that don't work. And it just so happened that my friend's wedding was like 4 days before I was supposed to leave.
All right.
So I went down to Utah and then I came back. We drove back up the day after and then I packed my bag and then left the next day. So
was the studio in Los Angeles? Is that where they recorded?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, Redondo Beach, which is real close by. But so I flew down in June and got to be on the Christmas cookie challenge. And I was like so out of my league though, because the people that I'm sitting, you don't know anything. You're not supposed to tell anybody anything.
Well, that's part of the contract. Like, you don't know anything and you can't say anything.
No, you're very tight-lipped. Yep. And so I was like, I'm so excited. I want to tell everybody, nobody knows what's going on. I'm going to miss church and nobody knows. Like,
so where's Amber?
Yeah. Yeah. Like, it's hard because this huge exciting thing is happening and the excitement is prolonged because you can't say anything until the show airs or whatever.
Right. You got months and months.
Exactly. So we show up and they give us all these rules. Like we had to take pictures beforehand of different outfits that we would bring and just really interesting how I was so fascinated by the whole process of the show and how it worked that I was kind of like looking around, like absorbing everything. Like, what is that? What is this? Or,
you're like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to make cookies while I'm here.
Yeah. And who are you? Like, how big up are you? Like, do you need to know me better? Like, so the day that we actually filmed the first day, you film over 3 days. It's a half an hour show.
Yeah. And
I filmed for 3 days straight. Had to get up real early, do my hair the same exact way. Then they would do my makeup. And then I had to wear the same clothes that you have to leave there because they have to make sure that the clothes are clean and pressed and everything. And,
that's right.
And it looks good on camera. And all the process of that was just like a little much, but so exciting at the same time because I was like, I'm here and I've only been doing this for stinking 6 months.
Were you like, I hope nobody finds out that I just started doing this.
Oh, totally. Because the other competitors, so we all like met in the lobby of the hotel and on the way to like one of the, they call him a PA, a production assistant, came and picked us up and we're in the van all together and we're all still like introducing our names and like where we're from. And we haven't even gone through everybody. And so I'm up in the front seat and everybody else, there's 2 in the middle and 2 in the back. And we're all kind of talking and the PA was talking to me and she's like, well, where are you from? I was like, oh, a town in Washington, a city in Washington. And she's like, oh, me too. She's like, nobody's heard of mine. And I was like, oh, where are you from? She's like, Spokane. I was like,
no way.
What? Me too. And then Ricky, who was in the back. Another competitor was like, so am I. And so he's from Spokane, and it was just a
That's
wild.
crazy.
Yeah. So we had all this connection, and
That's hilarious.
yeah, small world.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how all three of us converged in that one van together, but yeah.
That is hilarious.
Yeah, it kind of made me feel like more comfortable though. Like,
oh, yeah.
when I get nervous, I talk a lot, and
Yeah.
I would probably was talking my head off because I was like, I got to calm something.
You're talking 1,000 miles an hour.
Exactly. Yeah. So we all kind of met, and I kind of learned everybody wanted to see pictures of everybody else's cookies.
Oh, yeah.
And I was nervous to show mine because like, I know, I don't want to sound cocky, but I know that I have a talent, but I also know that I have so much to learn, and I have so much growth that I need to do. And there's so much I don't know.
Yeah.
And if I don't practice and do more with it, then I'm going to lose it. And so I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So I was nervous to show pictures. And so we're all like kind of waiting around. That first day is just single interviews. And so the 4 other competitors that aren't being interviewed are kind of just in this room. They like lock you in a room. Oops.
The green room or whatever.
Yeah. Well, they have like a ton of food in there.
Yeah.
The makeup artists are in there. And it was just, that's all you get is the 4 people you're with. And so we're all like kind of getting our phones out, like showing each other like what our pictures of. And I didn't give them my actual, like my business Instagram. I gave them my personal Instagram where I only had pictures of like the first cookies I ever did. And I was like, maybe they will think less of me if I don't show them my more recent cookies.
You're like, oh, these were a long time ago.
Yeah, well, and I just wanted them to see that because maybe I would have an advantage, maybe like, hey, maybe they'll think less of me and not, not worry about me. They'll tease each other or right. Whatever.
She's like, oh, that girl's no good. I saw her cookies.
Yeah. So
she's not a threat.
I was thinking that because we're all looking at each other's pictures of cookies. And then I'm asking like one of the ladies who's actually, she's also a member of the church. She lives in Louisiana. She, went to like Le Cordon Bleu in France.
Oh my gosh.
School. I'm like culinary genius. Like she knows how to bake everything. She does king cakes all the time down in
oh wow
New Orleans and stuff like that. And I'm like, I don't have that talent. I can make cookies, but I can't do that. So, and then Ricky had been baking. He's worked for Duff Goldman before.
Yeah.
It was big leagues. And here I am like, I learned from watching videos that you guys probably make. Like,
yeah, I've been watching your Instagram videos for a year.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm here because of you guys, basically. So it was a little like humbling for me. Like, I can't believe that I got selected with the height of that talent. I'm just was blown away. So I was kind of.
What an amazing experience to have right out of the gate like that.
Oh yeah.
I mean, not only did it instill confidence in you, but also what a great opportunity to learn and to be around, people who had been doing it and understood. And
exactly,
it was just like this education for you, I imagine.
It totally was. I was like trying to absorb everything, and luckily Ricky and I like clicked pretty fast, and so we chatted a lot, and we even got to fly home together back to Spokane. And I asked him a million questions about different things, and he was telling me. I mean, he's so smart. He has such a knowledge of baking and the whole culinary world of stuff. And so he was telling me about browning butter, and I mean, everything that I could ask, I asked. And I probably took advantage of our friendship by asking all those questions, but I'm so grateful for it because I learned so much during that. Yeah. So it was really fun. I don't know if you've seen the show, but I didn't win, but I made it to the end. I made it to the finale, and I'm proud of myself because I did that at 6 months of making cookies. And here I was competing against people that have been doing it their whole lives.
It's incredible. It's incredible, but it's also not a surprise having seen your end product. It does make me a little mad at you, though. I sometimes when I'm like, is there something that I'm super good at that I haven't discovered yet? Because I feel like I've tried a lot of things and I'm like mediocre at everything.
Well, I really am like, this was something that I had no idea. And unless I tried, I would have never known.
Yeah.
And it could have been like me just trying something. And because I do that all the time and it doesn't turn out quite like I like. And even though the first cookies, I was like, these don't look perfect. I was like, I enjoyed doing it so much. And I could do it with my kids and I could do it at home and I could make people happy by giving them cookies. Because at the time when I first made them, I was like, I just want to make pretty cookies to give to other people.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to eat them. I've actually never eaten a full cookie of mine, to be honest. I cookie so much that I'm just like, no thanks. I don't want to eat. So, and my husband enjoys it because he gets every cookie I break or mess up or that he accidentally messes up, I stick in a finger in or something. So
He's like, oh, this one, I didn't know it was still wet. Oh,
yeah,
well.
too bad.
And it'll go to a good cause.
Yep. So, yeah, it's been quite a journey. And Ree Drummond, who's the Pioneer Woman, she was one of the judges and two other like Food Network. One of them else has her own show on there, Jacine Prado. She's actually Sandra Bullock's sister.
Oh, cool.
And Vivian. They were both judges, and all three of them came up to me at the end, like at the end of the show and off camera. And we all got to give them a hug and talk to them for a minute. And all three of them were like, we just found out you've only been doing this for 6 months. And holy cow, you have an extreme talent. And them, like, coming from somebody that, like, I speechless. I don't even know how to say how much that meant, because that gave me confidence to like, hey, you can do anything with cookies. Like, you can decorate any cookie, and if it doesn't turn out, it doesn't turn out. But you can be selling these, and you should be doing this, and you should be promoting yourself and going forward with this more. And so I wasn't feeling bad about it. I wasn't feeling bad about it in the first place, but I was more laid back about like promoting myself. I didn't want to like put myself out there in that way and like have somebody like go, oh, your cookies aren't great. Like, I don't want to buy from you. Yeah. Yeah. Your time's not worth my money, or, something like that. And so just getting somebody to say, these are great, and the talent that you have for being so fresh into this is pretty extraordinary. You talk about Jen Anderson being your first customer, and I don't know if you felt this way, but I remember the first time somebody asked me to make a video for them, and they were going to pay me. I remember being like, I can't believe you're going to pay me for this, And I remember I remember it clearly. I put a bunch of hours into it. She paid me $75 to put this video together for her, and I just couldn't believe it. She even set the price. Oh, yeah. I didn't even set the price. She's like, how much will you charge? And I'm like, I don't know. Whatever you think it's worth. Yeah. Because I was like, I don't know what to say. I had no idea. And so she gives me that check, and I was just like, I was a little embarrassed. Because I didn't think it was very good, and I didn't think I was very good, But we find people along the way who just like totally believe in us. Well, and they see your talent from outside. It's so much easier to see out, seeing in from the out than it is for me. Because I didn't know either. I didn't know how to price my cookies. I didn't know how to package. I didn't know. There was so much still to learn. Yeah. Right. And I was so new at it that somebody that I absolutely have like the fondest, like I just adore her. She's one of the greatest people I know. And the fact that she would want to get my cookies and buy them from me, I was like, that's what like boosted me forward, to be honest. Yeah. That's like, okay, you got this. And so that's, it was all from there. So without, basically what I'm trying to say is without all these people in my life that have like bought cookies from me or encouraged me to do more with it, I don't think I would have the business that I have right now. Yeah. And how lucky am I that I get to work from home. I get to have my family help me with cookies, like my husband baking them all the time, the cookie husband. And then my kids help sticker cookies. They help package cookies. They help put them like in the box and stuff. And they get to see what hard work does. They get to see that. I'm glad that I get to do that in person with my kids, to show them like, hey, if you have something that you want to do, go do it. And people will pay you for something if you try hard at it. Like, I want them to see that. I don't want them to sit back and go, everything's just going to fall into my lap. It's such a great lesson for kids in so many ways, not just from the work aspect. They can see the work and then they can see the fruits of their work, but working as a family, and then also realizing that they can pick something that is fun and important to them as a way to, to provide for themselves and their future families. Exactly. And how cool was it that, them seeing me start the business and seeing how much work goes into starting a business, because it's not just making cookies and packaging. I mean, there's so much behind a business, too, like taxes, licensing and all of that. But them to see that I got rewarded by like being asked to go on Food Network, that was such a cool thing. And it was a dream that I didn't know I had, if that makes sense. Like, how cool is it that I got to go do something like that? Again, I'm speechless about all of it.
Yeah, what a remarkable way. Usually this is something that after people have been doing this for 10 years or 20 years, and it's the pinnacle of their career. And
exactly. And the cookiers that I follow on Instagram at the time, a lot of them applied for the show too. And they were saying, hey, I just turned my application in, and they haven't ever been on still. I mean, they're still making the show, and I don't know what made them pick me over them. Like, I don't know what it was, but I'm so grateful that I had the opportunity, and I'm grateful that it opened so many doors for me. And yeah, it's funny because I went to Costco after the show had aired. It aired during Christmas time, and it was like probably 6 months later, and I was just shopping at Costco, and this lady came up to me. She's like, "Can I give you a hug?" And I was like, what? Do you want to hug me?
Do I know you?
Yeah. I was like, I didn't know her at all, but she was so sweet. And she told me, she's like, I feel so awkward asking that, but she's like, I just love what you do. And she's like, I loved seeing you on the show. And for her to say that, she's like, I don't mean to be awkward. And I was like, no, you just totally made my whole day. Like, you have no idea how, again, another person just like giving me that boost to like, hey, you keep going, you got this.
Yeah.
So
that is so cool. So what's the dream? What's the next step? When you look down the corridor, what does it look like?
It's funny. Everybody asks me this. They're like, do you want to open a bakery? And right now, I had a baby a few months ago.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Number 3, right?
Number 3, yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, we got quite the gap. The middle one is 7 and she's a baby. So we got a gap going on. And she actually got my heart condition. So it's changed how I've viewed things right now. And not that my business isn't important, but it's kind of taken a backseat to being mom, because that, again, number one most important thing that I can do in my life. And so I do want to get back in the kitchen, and I want to be so a part of my kids' lives. I want to be there for every wrestling match, for every football game, whatever they decide to do, every dance competition. Yeah. I want to be there. And for now, doing cookies from home, I can do as many cookies as I want, as long as I can be there for my kids. And so that's the goal right now. And how lucky am I to be able to get to do that and be a part of my kids' lives the way I can.
Oh, it's such a great side hustle.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just a great side hustle.
Exactly. And I feel like I'm helping my family out. I'm providing for my family in a way that I'm not just... I felt lazy before. Not that I was, like, parenting's not lazy, but I just didn't feel like I was contributing enough. Yeah. So, I feel better about doing something.
This is fulfilling an important, gap in your life, maybe that you had.
Exactly.
Find a passion, go towards it, make it happen, persevere. Turns out you might be one of the best ever at it. Who knew?
I really don't think I'm the best, but... I mean,
I consider myself an expert cookie eater, and as an expert cookie eater, I can tell you that your stuff is ridiculously awesome.
Well, thank you.
It's just super cool.
Thank you.
So, okay, the other thing that we talk about on this podcast is our socks. And so you got some cute blue socks.
I don't know if it yet. Okay, my family is huge Disneyland, like Disney everything.
Excellent.
So these are Sully socks from Monsters Inc.
Oh, yes. Okay.
So, yeah.
Those are awesome.
You'll see a theme on my Instagram. I do a lot of Disney cookies.
I did notice that. Yeah, I did notice that.
Matter of fact, while I was at Food Network, the third day, I asked if I could do my interview early, like the exit interview, which was 5 hours long. I was like, I want to go first because I'm going to Disneyland by myself. My husband was so mad I would go. I was like sending him like Snapchats of me just like eating like a churro by myself, and he wasn't too happy, but I brought him home some treats. But yeah, so
that is great.
Disney means a lot for us, and it's also another reason I wanted to start a business so that we could go
so you can have a little bit extra scratch so you can go do fun things with your kids.
Yep, exactly.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, I have a gift for you.
Oh.
I got you. I'm a huge sock fan. This is a brand called Stance, which is one of my favorite brands. They make women's socks. I've never worn the women's socks, So I don't know how comfortable they are, but
I'm sure you haven't tried to pair out church, nothing.
Maybe I should try these on before I give them to you. I might really like them, but they're just awesome. They're great socks. These ones that I'm wearing are Stant socks, and they're really loud and fun. And so
I love that.
As my token of coming on the Socks and Soul podcast.
Thank you. I appreciate that so much. I'll wear him as I cookie.
I want to add it to your collection. I that would have been great if I would have found some Disney ones. That would have been super cool.
Yeah. I looked online. I was like, is there anybody that has cookie socks? Because I was like, I'll wear cookie socks, but I didn't find any cookie ones.
Yes,
so
that is awesome. Well, Amber, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Well, thank you.
I'm really excited to see what you do next and what cookies you come up with and the designs and things that happen as you move forward. Excited for your little family to grow.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. I appreciate you just having me on. It's such an honor to just I really am not that cool. I'm not that entertaining or anything. And so the fact that you would even have me, I'm very, very grateful.
Well, your Instagram has thousands of followers for very good reason. And, you bring joy to people by bringing them beautiful cookies. And it's an incredible talent. And I'm honored that you would spend some time with me and tell me about your story. I love a good story. I love that you have overcome some really difficult and frustrating health challenges, and you're just all smiles.
It's just part of life. I mean, everybody has something. So
you're just overcoming obstacles, making great things happen, doing your side hustle so you can go to Disneyland. Yeah. I just love it. I love everything about your story, and I can't wait to see what your next chapter holds.
Well, thank you again. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. So glad that you spent this time with us and with Amber. And go check out her Instagram. Tell us where we can find you again.
Flour and Frosting Spokane. And it's flour like FLOUR.
Yes, like flour and cookies.
Yeah, exactly.
Not like the flowers that are on those socks I just gave you.
Exactly.
Flour and frosting is that's the best way to kind of contact you or see your work.
Yep, or Facebook, either one.
Facebook, yeah. Okay, awesome. Yep, check her out. You will be like me. I would probably carve out half an hour to an hour before you go there because you won't be able to put it down.
Then you'll want to watch cookie videos and make cookies.
That's exactly right. Exactly right. Well, that's it from us. Thanks for joining us on the Socks and Soul podcast. We'll see you next time. The Socks and Soul podcast is a production of Ditto Film Media. If you enjoy this content, be sure to give it a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. Join the conversation on Facebook at Socks and Soul Podcast.